The wind moved softly through the tall pines, whispering across the lonely stretch of land where Eliza Carter worked alone. The valley was quiet, untouched, and wild just the way she wanted it. No town gossip. No cruel whispers. No past chasing her footsteps. She lifted another rough-cut log, her palms blistered and red, and dragged it toward the half-built cabin. One log at a time. One wall at a time. One life rebuilt from nothing. Eliza paused, pushing a loose strand of chestnut hair from her face. The cabin stood crooked but proud beside a narrow stream. Smoke did not rise from its chimney yet, and the roof still showed pieces of open sky, but it was hers. Every splinter, every nail, every drop of sweat hers. 3 months ago she had arrived with a mule, a broken wagon, and a heart too tired to hope. The world she left behind had taken everything, her family, her home, and the man who promised forever but vanished when the storms came. Since then Eliza trusted no one. Needed no one. Or so she believed. A horse's distant hoofbeats rolled across the valley. Eliza stiffened. No one came this far into the hills. No traders, no hunters, no drifters. Her hand moved quietly toward the small hatchet resting near the logs. She waited, breath steady, eyes sharp. The rider appeared through the trees like a shadow stepping into light. Tall, broad-shouldered, silent. He rode a dark bay horse and wore a weathered coat the color of storm clouds. His face was calm, almost unreadable, with deep-set eyes that carried the stillness of someone who spoke little and saw much. He stopped a few steps away, studying the cabin, the stacked logs, and finally her. Neither spoke. The wind passed between them like an old secret. Then in a low, steady voice he asked, "Need a partner?" Eliza blinked, caught off guard. "Partner," she repeated carefully. He nodded once. "Cabin's not easy work alone." She tightened her grip on the hatchet. "I have managed this far." His eyes flicked to her hands, raw, trembling slightly from exhaustion, then to the uneven roof beams threatening to collapse. "Not saying you cannot," he said quietly. "Just saying you should not have to." Something in his tone, simple, honest, unsettled her more than threats ever could. "Who are you?" she asked. "Daniel Reed." The name meant nothing, yet it carried weight, like a man known by silence rather than stories. "You live nearby?" she asked. He shook his head. "Ranch 5 miles west." Eliza hesitated. No man offered help without wanting something. That was a lesson carved deep into her bones. "What do you want in return?" she asked sharply. Daniel met her eyes. "Nothing." She almost laughed. Nothing was the most expensive promise of all. "People do not ride 5 miles for nothing," she said. He considered her for a moment, then spoke slowly. "Saw smoke one night. Came to check if someone needed help. Saw you building. Figured maybe you should not be alone out here." The words were simple. No pity. No charm. Just truth. Eliza lowered the hatchet, but not her guard. "I do not need saving," she said. "Good," he replied. "I do not save people." A faint flicker of surprise crossed her face. He stepped off his horse, walked to the pile of logs, and lifted one heavier than any she had carried alone. Muscles strained under his shirt, but his expression never changed. He placed it perfectly into the cabin wall. Then he looked at her again. "Still do not need a partner?" Eliza hesitated. For months the silence had been her shield. Loneliness her safety. Trust her enemy. But the cabin roof was sagging. Winter was coming. And this man asked for nothing. She crossed her arms. "You talk this little all the time." He nodded. "Fine," she said. "You can help today." A faint ghost of a smile touched his lips. They worked side by side until sunset painted the valley gold. He spoke rarely, but when he did it mattered. He fixed the roof beam. Reinforced the corners. Showed her how to brace the foundation against winter winds. By dusk the cabin stood stronger than it ever had. Eliza lit a small fire inside. Daniel remained by the doorway, ready to leave. "You always leave without saying goodbye?" she asked. He paused. "Did not think you would want me staying." She looked at the fire, then at the empty second stool she had never needed before. "You riding back in the dark?" she asked quietly. "Yes." After a long silence she said, "There is coffee. If you do not mind it strong." Daniel stepped inside. That night they spoke more than either expected. Not about pain. Not about pasts. Just small things: horses, weather, land, survival. Yet something gentle began growing in the quiet between their words. Days turned into weeks. Daniel returned often, never invited, never refused. They rebuilt the cabin together. Added a porch, a stable, a garden. He never pushed. Never asked questions she was not ready to answer. And slowly the walls around Eliza's heart, stronger than any cabin, began to soften. One evening, as the first snow began to fall, Daniel placed the final log above the doorframe. "Done," he said. Eliza looked at the finished cabin, warm light glowing from its windows, smoke curling into the winter sky. "Home." She turned to him. "Guess I had a partner after all." Daniel studied her, quiet as always. "Still need one." Eliza smiled, soft, real, unafraid. "Yes," she said. "But not just for the cabin." For the first time warmth filled Daniel's steady eyes. And in the silent valley beneath falling snow and rising hope, two lonely souls finally stopped building alone.